Hey Gearheads, this is Greg Stanley, and welcome to Auto Sausage, where we grind bits of automotive awesomeness into a tasty and fairly brief podcast. I talk fast, I'm trying to keep it that way. So if you're online watching this on YouTube, I do have our homepage up and our new website. 3 different buttons you can hit. Click to play, that's for our auto auction game that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Click to listen. If you're listening to this podcast already, you can listen to it iTunes, Stitcher, wherever podcasts are found. And then if you'd like to be a product sponsor, if you'd like to give some of your products away to be given away as a prize for our auto auction game, just contact me there. So a lot of really cool stuff to cover off here. I do have the website, as I mentioned before, up and running. YouTube as well. I'm trying to build that. I have so many car videos that YouTube will not let you move from one channel to the other channel. So I'm trying to import all of those. We do have a few videos, I think 5 small, brief, 1 or 2 minute videos of cool stuff I've seen on my travels. I'll cover that in a little bit. And then also just to let you know, my other podcast, Learn From Others, is doing really well. You've probably heard Auto Sausage first on Learn From Others. I appreciate you making the jump over to the Auto Sausage only podcast. So that's going well. You can learn more there at learnfromothers.org. So today we're going to start diving into the cars that are part of our next auction game, the Mecum Indianapolis auction coming up at the end of May. I will be there in person, live streaming the cars I picked out. I don't know that I'll live stream them live going across the block, but I will do a review on Instagram and YouTube. So some really cool things here. But before we start, I want to talk about what I've seen over the last few weeks. So let's see, I apologize for the folks that are catching the video here. But on my travels to the Northeast the other day, I was able to hit a couple cool car places. One of them was this place called Motorland America. So I was there literally for about 5 minutes. I did a quick run outside and then a quick run inside. They sell a lot of classic cars, some interesting cars. They had a warehouse with a ton of stuff. On their website, they have everything from RVs to a Chrysler Supra station wagon from 1950 to a 1965 Mercury Cyclone. All sorts of cool stuff. I mean, there must have been a couple hundred cars there. I just got a brief glimpse. Now, on the YouTube channel page, there are 2 videos that I mentioned before of this brief little visit. My camera work is not the best, but it is pretty cool place to check out, and it was very, very windy. So another place that I posted online as well on the YouTube channel, went to the LL Bean factory store where I can never find anything I really want to take back with me. But outside of that factory store was that cool truck. I think it was an Ford F-250. So I do a little quick walk around so you can see what that iconic boot truck actually looks like. And then I'm going to post a couple pictures or videos from Copley Motor Cars. I think I mentioned that last week when I was there a few weeks earlier. So a lot of stuff to check out on the YouTube channel. There'll be 5 or 6 videos, including this podcast, posted shortly. So cool stuff. I'll continue to do that. You'll see some of my older videos pop up. My cartoon that I animated, the best truck to escape a zombie apocalypse cartoon, that was exhausting and totally not worth the payoff because like 150 people saw it after hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work, but I still find it fairly entertaining. It was not meant to be a commercial for a particular big car brand truck. So anyways, another place that I dropped by was Cincinnati Supercars. They're actually up in Springboro, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. I'll post some pictures on Instagram. I did not take a video there, but I will be back at some point. Something else that cool kind of happened, I mentioned on the previous podcast about seeing someone from, where was it? It was on the airplane I was flying somewhere, and he had just finished drag racing a car. Well, it turns out that was the owner of Tasca Ford, which, if you don't know who that is, they're one of the most iconic Mustang dealerships ever. They raced the 1968 and a half Ford Mustang Big Block 428 Big Block Mustang Fastbacks back in 1968, 69. So super cool. I wish I had asked them his name on the plane so I could have had a more in-depth conversation. But when I'm around Providence, Rhode Island in the future, I will be sure to drop by and reintroduce myself. So again, you can check out the Instagram pictures of everything I've just talked about at Auto Sausage. So, talking about the auto auction game, I've got it pulled up here on the website. These are the 9 games. You already have 3 winners. So Jim K won the first round, which was a bunch of cool candy. I got these backwards. All right, I gotta fix this. Randy R won the second round, which was also candy. And then S. Tim from Florida won the Black Magic and Gum Out car care products, which I will have more of those coming up soon. So if you haven't signed up for this or not, you do have to leave your email address, but I will not spam you, I promise. So how does this game work? Well, basically what happens is the window for bidding, which is really guessing, you're not actually buying a car, is open now, and it will close the day prior to the auction being kicked off. So what I'll do is I will post everyone's results the day before, including my own, and I will go into in-depth on all these cars. If you want to guess close to what I guess, you're welcome to do so. And I will basically pick whoever came the closest. Total amount on 5 cars, either whether you're higher or lower, that is who will be the winner. So pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I picked 5 cool cars. Let's see what else I need to cover here. I will get some even cooler prizes as this goes on. So the prize for the Indianapolis is 4 tickets to the Cincinnati Concourse at Alt Park. That's I think it's $125 worth of $120 worth of tickets. So thanks to my friends at the Cincinnati Concourse for donating those. After that, I'll have like $100 of beef jerky you can win, as well as some other car care products, as well as some food. So I'm trying to build up the prizes to make them fun and exciting. So anyways, let's move on to the car I'd like to talk about this time. So I think I mentioned on an earlier podcast, but I was on the hunt for what I believed was a 1965 Ford Shelby Mustang GT350. Now these cars are $350,000. So the thought of finding one that nobody knows about was very intriguing. So this was a local Cincinnati car that I thought I was tracking. This is about a year and a half ago or so. And so, just a general random conversation, a friend of mine says, "Oh, I know where that car is." So I'm like, "I've known you for like 7 years and you've never told me where this awesome car was, you know?" So we kind of joked about it a little while, and all he had was the guy's name. The guy was a friend of his mom's, hadn't talked to him in 5 or 6 years, didn't have a phone number, an address, or anything, but I had a name. And so I started Googling. So I Googled like crazy, and I eventually came up with a phone number that no one ever picked up, and an address. And the address wasn't that far from where I lived, so I drove by it, when I was just driving by for shopping or whatever, and I never saw anyone outside, and I didn't want to just knock on this random person's door. So what I did was I did nothing. And so it turns out, I found out later when I was reading Hemmings Motor News that this man's name popped up, and he was selling a rare car in Cincinnati. And so I looked at it, and it was not a Shelby. It was something much rarer. It was a 1963 Cheetah GT. So if you're watching on YouTube, I've got a picture here pulled up. This is the car that was meant to fight the AC Cobras by Chevrolet. They only built 11 of them, and they're beautiful little cars. They're extremely small. I think you actually sit on the rear. What do you call it? On the rear wheels, basically, and it's a really small type. So just Google it. They make like 11 of them, and it has a 327 Chevy engine, 390 horsepower, only weigh 1,500 pounds, and so really cool rare car. That's the one that I had been looking at or trying to find, and was right outside the door of it, but didn't have the nerve to knock on the door. So this car actually sold for $711,000 or so in a 1-car auction, and I've got the Hagerty values pulled up right here. Number 1 Concourse is $800,000. Number 2 is $670,000. Number 3 in good shape is $530,000, and they've actually been increasing recently. I think that's on such a small base. It's probably just because of this one car selling for $700,000 and something. It shows an increase across the board. This one was apparently the most original one. Still left in existence. It has never been restored, and it's part of the Stephen Giuliano estate collection, and apparently he was a huge collector. We're also going to review one of his Cobras, this yellow Cobra here, if you're watching on YouTube. It's a 1965 Shelby Dragon Snake. We'll cover that on a future podcast, but this is the picture of the 1963 Cheetah race car. This one's red, the number 64 is on it. Like I said before, it's unrestored. And when you look at the interior on this car, you can see the patina on it, which is pretty cool. So let me click on that real quick. Yeah, so it's got a roll cage inside. You can see all the nicks and scratches. So really, really cool. Unfortunately, what's this guy's name? Steven Giuliano. Apparently he passed away, pancreatic cancer. So his collection is coming up for sale. Personally, I don't think it will hit the 700 and whatever thousand that it sold for previously. I think it will still sell for very strong. I'm going to guess 550 to 600. I'll nail that price down and have it published before the actual auction begins. Super amazing, cool car. I just think the muscle car prices are declining a little bit right now, and I think, especially after a car's been through one auction, especially if it was an auction that was only one car was in that auction, so you basically had all of the buyers that could ever be there, and it sold for 700,000. Now you've got it at the Mecum auction, where not only is this car there, but there's some other really cool rare cars from the same exact collection. I think it's going to dilute the buyers a little bit, and I think it won't sell for as much. So anyways, that's it for this episode. Be sure to check out my Instagram pictures at Auto Sausage. Check out the YouTube page, and be sure to play the contest, because as I get more players, more subscribers, I can get better gifts. I like to get to where I'm giving away a cool car that you guys can pick out. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.